All right, guys, we are continuing on with the Impact series. Got a very special guest, the guy that I trust for the Raiders. Spotlight Raiders is on. What's going on, Dorian? What's happening?
It's good, man. It's finally see that fantasy football is back. It's back to, see myself on fantasy football counselor. It's all good, man. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Thanks. We're coming on strong with the Impact series. If you're not aware of what I've been doing, is I'm bringing on actual beat writers, top influencers, and I didn't even want to mess with a beat writer for the Raiders because you're the guy that I trust, and I've had you on the show before a couple years ago. I don't want to trust anybody else because I know you're tapped in. You know what's going on with the
Right.
Raiders. And we got a lot of questions for fantasy. So can you tell people a little bit where to find you, who you are, why are you the Raiders ambassador? What's your credibility? People want to know what your credibility is. Let's be straight up.
My credibility as far is just from knowledge in the history of being a Raiders fan, knowing that my family lived in Oakland all those years and me traveling back and forth from East Coast to West Coast as a child made me a Raiders fan. So when it comes down to it, I do my research, I do my knowledge, my stats, my everything that I need to know about these Raiders inside out or outside in when it comes to the organization, who they hire, coaches, everything of that nature. You can find me on YouTube at Spotlight Raiders Talk, Twitter at Spotlight RN Talk, and Instagram Spotlight Raiders Talk. It makes me more noticeable knowing that I know people that live in Las Vegas and know people that knows the insiders of the Las Vegas Raiders organization. It makes me more credible.
Absolutely. You're totally tapped in. And like the way I say it is this, like I did jujitsu for years. It's like, I'm like a brown belt, which is like one level before black. And you guys are like the black belts because you guys live and breathe that sport. And I don't care how much I study the Raiders. You're talking about it like daily or whatever on your channel, or you're breathing it, or you're tapped into all the beat writers and all that yourselves. Some of them are actual beat writers. So again, guys, some people, because I had Norb Cam on and like, why didn't you get the beat writer from Seattle? I'm like, well, Norb Cam is pretty tapped in. Like this guy's season ticket holder. He knows what's up. He's listening. He's listening to all tweets. Anyways, yeah, I'm excited to have you on. So let's just get to it here. We're kind of tighter for time today. We're recording this in the afternoon. You just got back from work. This is like my third podcast a day. We want to get to the meat and potatoes of this. Let's dive into. So I'm going to lay it out for you, in my opinion, and you could tell me if I'm crazy. I don't take anything personally. I never get butthurt over this stuff. Right. Here's the deal. Fantasy football. Do you play fantasy, by the way?
Yeah, I play fantasy.
Okay, fair enough. So here's the deal. Now, we got Adams now, which is exciting for you guys. Derek Carr, and again, I keep saying he sucks, but he's a good quarterback. He's above par. He's no Justin Herbert or Pat Mahomes. I think, are we in agreement to that? Like, he's not the best?
Yeah, he's not the best. I think he's close to being a top 10 quarterback. If you look at the last 4 years for Derek Carr, he threw over 4,000 passing yards, and this past year he had 4,700. So even without a number one receiver, he still gets the job done. I think the reason why that Derek Carr doesn't get the respect that he does because other areas of the football team as far as the defense and the special teams does not really hold up for him. If you look at the last 4 years, our defense has not been a top 10 defense or a top 15 defense. So if you have to look at it, Derek Carr gets the job done when it's needed, but sometimes it's other areas on the football team is why the team looks the way it looks. But hey, offensive line, that plays a part in it too. But Derek Carr does put up the numbers. It's just that it's quietly that he puts up the numbers.
Is it safe to say that he's out of excuses this year if he doesn't get it done? Because I've done my research, 2 playoff appearances in which he both lost. And this guy isn't a rookie. Like, let's get it done. I just think he's like the little engine that could, like, or just couldn't. He's like a Tannehill to me. He's like a guy that can maybe get you in the playoffs, but not get you through all the way through. You know what I mean? Don't take it personally, right? But I'm just being straight up. Like, I don't think he's the guy that can get it done. But is this the year that out of like, are we done with excuses with Derek Carr this year? He's got to get it done. This is the year.
I think this is the year that he does get it done. I think this is the best roster offensively that he had in the 9 years outside of the 2016 year when he had Amari Cooper and Michael Crabtree and Jared Cook. If you look at the roster now, you got Hunter Renfrow, you got DeMarcus Robinson, you have Mac Hollins, you got Davante Adams. He got a lot of Tyron Johnson, got a lot of wide receivers on the depth chart, and they're adding Darren Waller and Foster Moreau to this the tight end position, and then the running back position just got a little bit better too with Brandon Bolden, Zamir White, Josh Jacobs probably declined his 5th-year option, and then you got King and Drake as well. So it's going to be looking a little bit different offensively this year, and hopefully we have a real true offensive minded coach like Josh McDaniels to come in, and knowing that we know he didn't really have success with a bad quarterback in Tim Tebow in Denver, but I think now he has a better quarterback in Derek Carr, and I think he could probably get the job done. And the offense is going to look a little bit different in recent years.
Okay, so let's talk volume distribution. Now, again, I did my homework on this. I've been studying this because Adams is so expensive in fantasy. He's kind of copied and pasted from last year. My prediction is he's going to bust significantly. So here's my theory. 2020, the number one receiver for Carr was Waller. He had 145 targets. Last year, banged up. Renfrow stepped up, 128 targets, peaking. Remember,
Right.
ceiling, peaking at 128. Here's the thing. Those guys are still there. So unless they become pylons at the sideline and are literally just tackle dummies and they stand there like with their finger up their nose or something like that, how the I don't want to curse because I'm trying to keep this a little more. This younger kid, how the fuck is Adams going to get 169 targets and be because again, this is the fantasy community, so nothing personal, you guys.
Right.
They're saying that he's in the same. They're basically marrying him to say he's going to be the exact same as last year. That's what gets me. I think he still has a good year, but 169 targets. Where is Carr going to pull this out of his ass? Like, how is it? Like, tell me where.
I mean, it's. I wouldn't say guarantee 169 targets, but is it a possibility? Yes, just because of the history between Derek Carr and Davante Adams back in college, and then they and every year until they moved to Las Vegas, Davante Adams and Derek Carr worked out in the offseason. So they really have the chemistry even before they moved to Las Vegas. But at the end of the day, you're going to have to pick your poison. The targets are going to be spread around through this whole offense, with Hunter Renfrow being a legit number two receiver or number 3 receiver. Then you have even Keelan Cole on there too. And I put out a video saying he might be the number 2 receiver over Renfrow because Renfrow is more of a slot receiver than actually an outside receiver. Then you have Waller. Waller had 145 targets last year. So I feel like Davante Adams' target is going to go down a little bit, but I feel like now with Derek Carr is just pick your poison. And Derek Carr's going to have to look at who's the open receiver. And I don't want Derek Carr forcing it down Davante Adams' throat where you have other talent on the opposite sides of this wide receiver core. So I wouldn't say 169 targets, but will he get over 100 targets? Possibly. But it won't be 169.
100, yes. I'm looking at like a peak of maybe 140, but again, still, we're looking at Waller's numbers were 145 in 2020. Maybe he throws more, but again, and the way I'm seeing it is like, okay, shit, man. Like, it's like I'm seeing Adams in double coverage. Oh, here's my safety blanket. Boom, Renfrow, right? Like, I don't know, man. Again, for fantasy, I think Adams is just so expensive. Like, again, I'm not knocking him. I think he's going to be great. I like Adams. I'm just saying for fantasy, just too expensive for me.
Yeah.
That's my opinion. I think it's a downgrade at quarterback too. Let's be honest. Rodgers is better than Derek Carr. Absolutely.
I can completely agree with that. But if you want to look at, as far as the deep ball, Rodgers and Carr is right neck and neck when it comes to rankings and when it comes to throwing the deep ball. But overall player, yes, I have to say Aaron Rodgers is better than Derek Carr. So yeah, it is a downgrade of a quarterback. But if you look at the supporting cast that Carr has now and the supporting cast that has Rodgers, can we say the same thing for Rodgers might have in a down year too? So it goes both ways for Davante Adams and Aaron Rodgers. We know Aaron Rodgers can always sling the ball to any wide receiver that's out there, but now not having a Davante Adams, it might be a little bit of a struggle. So Davante Adams is, and as a Raider, is still will give some, even though they practice and everything of that nature, chemistry is going to matter when it hits the football field. So I don't think it's going to be immediate success, but give it to like week 4, week 5-ish. I bet you that it's going to start to pick up.
Yeah, I mean, Carr does throw a lot. I'll give him that. 626 attempts, which would put him 5th last year amongst quarterbacks. Very impressive in that sense. Obviously, the yardage is always there. Touchdown interception ratio, not bad, 23-14. So, all right. So I understand the offense is going to be different. There's going to be more targets to be had. So where do you projected stat line? Where do you see like Davante Adams finishing? How many targets does he end up finishing? How does this offense gel? How does it look offensively now with all these new toys for Derek Carr?
So I see, as far as stat lines, I can still see 130 to 140 targets for Davante Adams, just because he's an outside number 1 receiver. He's going to be the number 1 target on this offense as of now, because this is really the first big time that Derek Carr had a true number 1 on the outside. That's actually one of the best receivers in the league in the NFL.
Right.
I don't think Derek Carr never really had that type of receiver as the 9 years he's been with the Las Vegas Raiders. So I say about 130, but almost 140-ish when it comes to targets. Hunter Renfrow, I think he still gets about 115 or 120. Waller, it's really tough because it's a lot of toys that Carr has to work with. And we
Yes.
got to see what happens with this whole 53-man roster once it gets cut down and see how many receivers is on this actual roster. But Waller, I could see almost 100 to 110. He might get lesser targets, but I think he's going to be more of a red zone due to the fact that Davante Adams is that number one. But at the same time, Waller is probably still going to put up numbers because, mind you, Waller can catch the ball yards after the catch and still run with it. Same thing for Hunter Renfrow. So as far as the average yards per play, it's going to look really good for both Renfrow and Darren Waller in that aspect.
And end zone, who do you think he's going to be looking at the most in the end zone? Who's going to end up with the most touchdowns out of these three guys? That's a tough call.
That is a very, very tough call because Hunter Renfrow is a great route runner in the red zone. He could get people off balance every single time he gets into the red zone. You definitely got to look at Renfrow as your number one in the red zone just because of his route running style. Waller, you can get him on the outside on the 50-50 ball. Same thing for Davante Adams. But Davante Adams is a big body receiver go up against a smaller corners that's probably in this league. So it's really pick your poison, but I'm definitely going to go with Renfrow, probably the most red zone touchdowns because of his route running. And as him being a slot corner, a slot corner, not a slot receiver. And I think he could get away from defenders really well. So I could see Renfrow getting that.
That's good feedback. Naturally, I'm thinking just the bigger body, in the red zone, end zone. So
Right.
a good feedback for me to start thinking that way, Renfrow's way. But again, I'm fading this entire team. I don't trust. I don't know where the ball's going, to be honest. And then committee wise, okay. So Jacobs, there's been some. I don't know if it's just me hearing things or it's the media hearing things. Talk about Jacobs like lacking explosiveness and like, is he like? I don't know, man. Is he the real deal? Is he going to get the volume this year, or is it going to be more of a Drake show? Now they got White. Is Zamir White? If hopefully I'm pronouncing that right. Is he going to be the rookie White? Is he going to get more volume this year? Could be a breakout guy, or are they going to lean toward Jacobs and give him that shot for more volume this year?
This is a really tough position for the Las Vegas Raiders when it comes to this running back position because Brandon Bolden came over from New England as well. He was like he was like a little power back as well, but he wasn't as effective as Josh Jacobs was. Now, if Josh Jacobs can stay healthy, that's been his main issue the last 2 years with the Las Vegas Raiders, that he just can't stay healthy. And then you got to look at the offensive line. The offensive line could not open up holes for Josh Jacobs last year, and that's been a really tough thing for them. But if you bring in like Kenyon Drake is more like a outside zone type of running back, not in between the tackles, but he definitely has the ball at the backfield, and that's something Jacobs has developed on as more. But I'll really rely on Drake than Jacobs when it comes to that aspect. Now, Zamir White, we all know Zamir White came from a Georgia Bulldogs team that was running back by committee anyway. He was the leading rusher when he was running back by committee with the Georgia Bulldogs. So it's really going to look like how Josh McDaniels did it with the New England Patriots in some way, but I really feel like Josh Jacobs is going to be the starter week one going into it, but I don't think he's going to get much of a workload because of his injuries. When he has so much of a workload, he couldn't stay healthy. So I think they're going to split the carries between the three or four.
So it's going to be a committee, but how good is Zamir White from your research? I'm just curious, based on your research, how good is this guy? Like if Jacobs takes, an injury, can Zamir be the guy to handle the workload?
Yeah, I think he can handle the workload, but I think, Kenyon Drake is probably going to be the starter over Zamir White because of the rookie. But I think he could come in and be a backup and be a change of pace back that have a great jump cut, has a great vision through the hole, and he likes to give punishment when it gets down into the red zone. So that's one thing that we have struggled on when it comes to red zone offense. When it comes to the running game, we cannot get it in the red zone when it comes to running the football. And we were really like almost dead last in the league running the football with the Las Vegas Raiders. So now bringing in Zamir White, that brings a little lateral quickness and that could get to the outside. That's a little bit better than Jalen Richard was. I think we could get into the red zone with Zamir White and Kenyon Drake if Josh Jacobs is down.
Okay, and we talked about Derek Carr at the beginning. I want to wrap this up with division here. I won't hold you up. I know you got a meeting in a couple minutes. Real quickly here, division finish. I got you guys finishing maybe third, maybe fourth. Again, I just feel this is going to be another Derek Carr excuse because he's got such a tough division. How do you compete with the top dogs? Where do you guys, realistically, unbiased, where do you see yourself finishing? I mean, you've got all the weapons. There's literally no excuse. I don't care how good the other quarterbacks and Mahomes is. I don't care. There's no excuse. You've got better weapons. So
right.
How do they finish?
I still think we still finish second. And I just want to reason why I say that because every year they talk about the Chargers, and Chargers have great players on paper. It always seems to fall out in the second half of the season for the Los Angeles Chargers. It never fell. So I still have the Chargers at 3. Denver is still gonna be a lot. It's still a lot to learn about them, even though they
I
have a
like
great
them.
defense. I like Denver, but I think right now we have the toughest division in football, and I think everybody's going to have at least 8 to 9 to 10 wins in this division, and it's going to be hard to put somebody at number 4 because how competitive this division is. I still have us at 2, but it's not going to be by a landslide. I think every team in this division is going to go even and go 1-1 against each other because it's just how tough it is. But I have it as us being number 2 right now, just until somebody can knock off the Kansas City Chiefs. Even though they lost Tyreek Hill, understanding they did add Juju Smith-Schuster to that offensive side of the ball, which not really great when it comes to fantasy wise lately. But you have a Patrick Mahomes over there that could throw him the football. So I say Chiefs, then I say us, Chargers, Broncos. But every team this year has improved, and everybody's going to have an improved record as well.
Yeah, that's going to be a division to watch. I'm so excited to see rookie Sky Moore go at it this year with the Chiefs. I love Herbert. I'm a big Herbert fan. Love to see Keenan Allen go. How's Eckler is he going to continue his run? They got Isaiah Spiller there. They got a rookie there to pound the ball. I'm just so excited about this division. And Russell Wilson in his new home. I'm really high on Russell Wilson. I think he just gets his career revival and he just tears up the league this year. I could be wrong, just a gut feeling, but what a division to watch, man. You guys got it in tough, but I just feel it's going to be a Derek Carr excuse at the end. Well, I couldn't make it because the division was so tough, but if
I wouldn't say it's an excuse. What I'll say is that if the other supporting cast is not helping him, then that's the issue. Even though that we did everything on the offensive side to get him the weapons, if Derek Carr in this offense is putting up numbers and your defense can't get off the field, then that's a defensive problem. You really can't blame Carr because Carr doesn't play defense. So that's the only thing I'm really concerned about when it comes to this Raiders team is the defensive side of the ball, and a little bit of skeptical of the offensive line. But we'll see how that offensive line develops. Knowing we have a whole new coaching staff.
All right, well, we appreciate you, Dorian. Spotlight Raiders, guys. Go follow on YouTube. Stay on for 1 second as soon as we end this, please. Guys, make sure you subscribe. Check out the rest of the Impact series. Raiders covered. I'm personally staying away from this entire offense. That's just me. I don't trust Derek Carr and who he's going to throw to because he loves all 3 of these guys, I'm sure.
Right.
So
I completely agree. If you're playing fantasy, I'll stay away until you see something better,
Good for reality.
Right.
Fantasy for me. And again, they could blow up all 3 of these guys. But again, I think one is really going to step up. I don't know, man. Maybe he just goes to old reliable Renfrow,
Yeah.
Who knows? Renfrow could be the wide receiver 1 for all we know. Who knows?
Right. You can never know what happens in the NFL. You never know.
All right. Well, thank you. Well, appreciate you. Go follow them, and we will talk soon, guys. Keep tapped in, subscribe, thumbs up. We'll talk soon.
Thanks for having me.